Alright, if you don't mind buying knives from cold steel that are made in the rice pit, here's one that's a pretty good one. And this is the GI Tanto. Comes in their famous blue, silver blue box. And it is a high performance knife. So let's take a look at this thing. Okay, and the funny thing about this, to begin with, they must be using a new kind of desiccant in these boxes. Looks an awful lot like rice to me. So let's take a look at this thing. This is the cold steel GI Tanto. Now the term GI was first used in about 1917, referred to government issue. And that was a reference to American forces in Europe during World War I. It also refers to galvanized iron. But this blade is made out of 1055 carbon steel, so it should be really easy to sharpen. The overall length is 12 inches. The blade length right down to the handguard is 7¼ inches. And the sharp part of the blade starts right about there, and that is 5½ inches. And this thing has a 2½ inch false edge right there, which I am going to sharpen. It's almost sharp right now, not quite. Shouldn't take much to sharpen that false edge at all. I'm going to sharpen that up. And the steel, or the blade itself, is full tang. Goes all the way from front to back, full tang, and it's 3/8 inch thick, and the weight is 10.5 ounces, so it's a good handful. It's got some good weight behind it. Now the blade markings are, so you can pick those up. You can see on that side it says GI Tanto, and on the other it says cold steel. Now the handle is made of polypropylene. It kind of feels to me like Grivery, but they say it's polypropylene, so I'll believe them. There are 2 Allen screws on both sides of the grip, so you can take the scales off pretty easy. And there's a, I think that's about a 1/4 inch lanyard hole right down at the end. And the balance on this thing is really good. It's right at the handguard, right about there. So it's balanced pretty good. Let's do a short cut test on some medium weight cardboard. I just happen to have some Coors cardboard here. So this thing came really sharp. Yeah, I would call that really close to razor sharp. Not quite razor sharp, but it's pretty close. Okay, so I would consider this a high value, relatively inexpensive blade. I got it for like $22.50. So if you like cold steel products, this is a good one to have. Now let's take a look at the sheath. Now this sheath is a Secure-X sheath. Now when I got it, this thing fit in so hard I could just barely pull it out. So what I did to fix this is I took 2 of these little grommets. They're lashing holes. You can see they're metal lashing holes. One there, there. So I took these 2 out. Because it's a friction sheath, you just jam the knife in there and it holds, because it's like a clamshell. So that made it easy to get this knife out. And one thing I do like about it, you can change the lanyard loop, which is almost, not the lanyard loop, but the belt loop. It's about a 2.5 inch belt loop, and it's a pretty good piece of nylon. It's not really flimsy. One thing I did like about this thing, the retention strap is in the right place. I did have to take it off and refasten it because it was sewn on. I just took it off and put a little rivet through it. So this is just about in the right place. Snaps real good. And the belt loop is detachable with these 2 screws. And I did move it from this hole, these 2 holes, down to here, so it rides a little bit higher. But that is the GI Tanto from Cold Steel. Pretty good blade for about 20, mid-20s. If you can get it for less than 25, that's a good price. Knuckle bump.